What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. I got the GOAT, Morgan Choate, here today. He has no idea what we're going to talk about. I just wanted to get him on because he's an interesting guy. He's got a lot of cool stories. He's lived that life, that adventurous life, and so yeah, I assume you guys are going to enjoy this one. Like I said, whenever you can find my podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, just about any podcast platform. So go ahead and subscribe, like, and give me a 5-star rating. That'd be legit. So Morgan, what's up, dude? How's your
What's
day?
going on? Good. Glad
Nice.
to be here.
Did you work on any fences today? Because I know you're building fences now.
Dude, I had the day off, so I just did housework. But
That's what's up. You and your
yeah,
you and your brother are like that. Every time I talk to your brother, like I talked to Matthew,
yeah,
uh, when we were at the height of COVID, and they were like gonna have us all take vaccines in the union, and I was like, dude, yeah, I'm kind of tripping. Can you pray for me and all this stuff? And I was like, what about you? How are you? He's like, oh, I'm taking the kids fly fishing Monday, and like I was just like, you suck, dude. Um,
yeah. He's good, man. He's got a good life. He just gets to be at home, and I mean, he's a good dad, so he doesn't actually have to go to work, which is nice. So yeah, something I'm trying to do.
no, that's awesome. What does Matthew do? Like, what's he been up to?
He owns like 3 or 4 rental houses, and that's it. And he just that's so he just whatever they make their income per month, and that's what they make, and so he gets to stay at home, and every once in a while he'll do like some random jobs. Somebody will contract him out to build something, but he basically just stays at home, works on his land, and goes fishing and hunting and all that kind of stuff. So
He's living
yeah,
the retired life.
dude,
That's
I
what's
know, I'm
up.
jealous.
That's what's up, dude. What's awesome about you though is like, I don't know, it was probably a year ago. I don't know when you started your company. What's your company's name?
Rough Cuts Fencing.
Okay, so talk to me about that because I got on Facebook and all of a sudden I started seeing these beautiful fences. Beautiful, man. Like you're really, really good. Like I
Thank
was I was shocked because I do welding, so I understand like the building process of things, and I know how hard it is to keep everything level and square and perfect, especially with wood.
you.
And
Yeah.
you kind of incorporated metal with that, which I'm just impressed with. So what fired you off to start that company?
uh Dude, I was tired of working for somebody. I wanted to take time off to hunt, and I wanted to spend more time with my family. And I realized that like by working for somebody else, I was on their schedule, I was on their time. Like they always called me and told me when I had to work. And my biggest pet peeve is like calling somebody to ask if I can have time off. Like I hate that conversation of like, oh, hey, is that okay if I get time off? Like I hate that. So I met my wife, and she at the time owned 2 businesses, and she was like super successful. And I remember talking with Michael, and I was just a fisherman. This is when I was fishing in Alaska. And I remember I talked to Michael, and he was like, dude, you better get your life together or else this chick's going to leave you. Cause like she's, she's got her stuff together. So I talked with her, and we kind of like made up a logo, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna I know how to build fences because I used to build a bunch of them for the guy I was working for, and I just knew that I could run a business better. So just started doing my own thing, and dude, it's been pretty good.
That's what's up, man. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
proud of you.
thanks.
There's a part of me that says the same thing. I'm like, man, I could probably do it better if I just did it on my own. And I understand that feeling of like asking for time off or just the politics that come with working for somebody or a company. And that's got to be so freeing to actually just not have that.
Yeah, dude, it's nice. It can be stressful, uh, but it's totally worth it. I mean, if I don't want to go to work, then I just don't go to work. Like just that's it. Like I'll just call my client and be like, hey, I'll be there tomorrow, and then regardless if they're mad or not, that's just the way it is. So, I mean, I
No, that's
yeah,
incredible. That's my brother's the same way. My brother owns an IT company called Wise Guys, and when I was first doing this welding gig, I remember showing up like 2 minutes late one time, like 6:02. This was like 10 years ago when I first started out here in California. And I rush in and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here, I'm here. And the foreman's like, it's 6:02, go home. And I was just like, this is gay, man. Like I was a damn good TIG welder, which I still
Yeah.
am. Like
Yeah.
TIG welding, I was the best guy on the job, but I was 2 minutes late, and like they're like, oh yeah, your punishment is you're not getting paid today, which my brother was like, dude, that is the stupidest thing ever,
Yeah.
because I had to go back home, and I'm like, yeah, I was 2 minutes late, so they sent me home. Um, Same thing happened to my brother Johnny, or my brother-in-law Johnny. He was like a minute late and they sent him home. And like, I just told him it's the nature of the beast when you work for companies like this,
Oh, dude, I would quit.
Yeah,
If it was me, I would have said, dude, see you never. I'm
yeah,
out here.
and that's what's up, dude. And that's why you're Morgan Choate. That's why you're the Billy Goat. All right.
Yeah.
So aside from your company here, let me pull up some pictures because I can do that. I want to show anybody who's viewing this your work. Um, I was, yeah, I'm just really impressed by it. Let me see if I can find Facebook real quick. So this is some of your work. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't see anything right now,
Oh, you can't? Here, hold on real quick.
but I'm sure it's a good picture.
All right. Well, um it's basically all your work, but I'll try to pull that up later.
Yeah. Well,
Um
thanks. I appreciate it. I
no,
take pride in what I do.
it's legit, dude. Um
I have I have been welding a little bit because I'm gonna start making like custom driveway gates, stuff like that. So I've been kind of got a little welder and obviously not as good as you, but for what I'm doing, I think it'll work.
yeah, no, hit me up if you have any questions, like if you need to know what process is. I'm sure it's a MIG welding gun. It's just
Yeah.
you're gonna have mixed gas and then hard wire, or you'll do core wire, which doesn't need any gas. So another big reason I brought you on was to talk because back in 2015 when I talked to you, you were doing whitewater rafting guides, right?
Yeah, it was.
So how was that? Like, what kind of crazy stories do you have of that? Like of doing all that?
Oh man, dude, that was probably like one of the best times of my life. Um, I had just graduated college and I didn't want to work. I really just didn't want to do anything, but I wanted to make a little bit of money. And I had a buddy of mine who was a rafting guide, and he was like, dude, just come spend the summer in Riggins. We'll just sleep on the beach. And I was like, ah, dang, that sounds sweet. I'd never even been in a raft. And so I was like, all right. So I went and took like a training class, and I was just, I don't know, kind of just like a natural. Like I could read the water really nice and just kind of like really took to it. And so I was like, dang, this is sweet. So then I just, yeah, I mean, I lived in my Jeep on a beach for 2 years and yeah, didn't have any bills, didn't have like, yeah, I was sick. I just would wake up and get to take people who were on vacation down the river, and it was like every day was a party. Everybody was super happy. Like there was never really, I mean, there was like a couple days that kind of sucked, here and there, but overall, like it was a great experience, and it's just cool. The canyon that I was in was awesome. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. It was just a really cool thing. So,
Well, you told me some stories about how you could see like a truck that had like
oh
tell that
yeah,
story real quick. What was
yeah.
the backstory to
Well,
that?
so where I guided, it was on the Salmon River, inside Hell's Canyon, which is like about the middle of Idaho, and there's a highway that basically runs that whole river, like right along it, and people, I mean, every year you'll have 3 or 4 cars will drive off the road into the river. And yeah, it was like in the middle of our rafting season, and some guy, I think he was drunk or something, and drove his truck off into the river. but where he put it in was just like this giant deep hole, so they couldn't pull it out because the river was just it, the flow was too high, and so that truck though it was sitting on a rock and it created its own wave, and so we'd run our rafts over it to hit this big wave, and I mean you could see the truck no more than like probably 6 feet below us, just this giant big white truck, and it stayed there for the whole season until low water, and then they had to like crane it out. You get jet boats and you hook it up to a jet boat, and you gotta get it a little bit off the rock, and then they take a crane and get it out. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, my clients like that, getting to see a truck. But there's a lot of weird things. I mean, I was a part of the uh, search and rescue team out there, and so like whenever those things happened, you usually got to go find a body, which is there's some interesting stuff with that. It was definitely
Did you ever find a body?
so. Thankfully, I didn't. Um, but there was a lot of like I had to take people out. You have the body bag, you have the whole 9 yards, and I would take like a family out. Like this one, the one that I really remember. It was a young guy, and he was on his bachelor party. Got drunk. His buddy bet him that he couldn't swim across and then swim back, and he wasn't wearing a life jacket, which is like I mean, I'm a great swimmer, but I never get in a river without a life jacket. It's just dumb. It's just like I like to live. But anyways, he tried to swim across, got caught in the undercurrent, sucked him under, and I mean, he was done. He had like a 3-year-old daughter too. Like it was awful. And so his family flew in, and they all piled up in my raft, and we had like big like a glass helmet that you'd put on. You could stick your head under the water and you try and find them. And I just rode up and down the river and for like days. But it's like hard because once somebody gets sucked under, they're not going to come out until it's going to be a few weeks until their body gets like bloated and they will start to float up. So these families always want to like find their significant other like super soon, but odds are they're stuck down there for a while, and then when they do come up, they're pretty gross. Like I mean, they'll have their fingers will be all eaten off from the fish, and yeah, just kind of it's
All
it,
from a
that
silly
was
dare to swim
yeah, like
across the trip.
that was dumb, but um yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there. Like one year, uh kid went missing in the river, and we had this lady, the family hired this psychic, and she came out, and I remember we were all just like, not really, I don't know. Like I believe in that stuff, but also it's like that was a little iffy because I was like, man, this chick's just gonna psychically read where this guy is in the river, like, whatever. So she does her thing, and she's sitting here, and she's kind of got her eyes closed, and she's doing her thing, and she opens her eyes, and she's like, oh, um, he's gonna be 6 miles down. There's a what'd you say, there's a big ponderosa pine, which is a tree. It's on the right river right. So how the river flows is the direction, so on the right side of how it flows. She was like, on river right, there's a ponderosa pine, and he's going to be underneath that, and it's 5 miles past this rapid. And so we were like, okay, whatever. And so my buddy got in his raft, and I drove him up, and um, he rafted across, and dude, that freaking kid was underneath that tree. And yeah, like I don't know how she,
What?
yeah, I'm not even joking. And yeah, that was crazy. So that, I mean, weird stuff happens in the canyon. I don't know, but that made me a believer really quick on just kind of people have
Psychic people. Yeah.
talents, I guess, or something.
They used to a lot of murder cases like back in the day, especially in like the 70s and whatnot,
Mhm.
they would use psychics like whenever they had cold cases and whatnot.
Yeah,
And I can't remember if they worked or not, but either way, it's been a thing forever. But that's weird that
dude,
she knew exactly
it
where he
was
was and
crazy.
that
Yeah,
like
like
I
it was.
I'd have taken her number and been like, okay, when I got some serious questions, I need to ask this lady. That's
Man,
crazy.
I had this another one of my rafting guides. He's this just a giant. He was like 6'7", and he had dreadlocks like down to his butt, and he's just like this old skinny guy. And I mean, his hands were like to here. He just had like these enormous hands, and he was real spiritual. And we were getting ready to run big water, which is like in May when all the snow melts off. The river's huge. I mean, you can get like 20-foot waves, and so you suit up, and I mean, there's like trees going through the river and crap like that because it's just like it's nuts and it's all dirty and nasty, and which is super fun if you're into that kind of stuff. Like I'm totally into that, like just hitting the biggest, nastiest thing. And so we're getting ready to go
Come
do
on.
this big, yeah, yeah.
Just keep going.
We're getting ready to go do this big, this run, and this guy's name is John. He was like, "Hey brother, come here, brother." I was like, "All right, what's going on, John?" And he's like, let me bless you real quick." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, dude, bless me." And he like comes up to me and he takes his hand and he puts it right here on my chest and he just closes his eyes, doesn't say anything, and he just kind of sits there for a little bit. And dude, I can't even explain to you what I felt, but it was very I don't want to say evil, but it was definitely not like a blessing. It was bad, and
What?
I didn't even get in the water. I left. Yeah, it freaked me out, and I told him, I was like, "Dude, John, like I really like you, but like don't ever touch me again. Like I think I'm done like messing with you." And it was crazy, and that was another thing.
What did you feel real quick? Like, so the dude put his hand on your chest, his freaking huge bear mitts,
Yeah,
and what did you feel? Just like, I'm just curious. I know it could have been spiritual. It could have been a feeling you actually felt. I'm just curious what you
yeah.
felt.
It was well, for one, I remember it was really heavy. Like I just felt like this very heavy, I'm gonna say force, but like oh, like it was just kind of crushing down on me. And I just remember being like, oh, dude, like, and my chest started to hurt, and I just, it was almost like a panic attack, you know, when you kind of are just like you don't know what to do, and you're just feeling all these, and it was like this compression, and as soon as he let go of me, it was, oh, it was gone, and I just was like, oh, dude, like
Stay away from me,
that
homie.
was crazy, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was a weird thing, that was weird, man,
So
and
who
he
is
was
this
like,
guy real quick? Was he like like who was he? Is he just a hippie guy? Is he a
yeah, yeah, so
okay,
like,
so he wasn't like a Christian or anything like that.
no,
He was
no,
like,
I
"Let
mean,
me bless you," and just
like one day he cut off one of his dreadlocks and like tied it up kind of pretty, and he gave it to me, and he was like, "Brother, this way you always have some of me. Put it in your life vest, so I'm always with you." And I was like, "Okay," and I just have like this huge chunk of his like gross dreadlock hair, and
oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he was like, I like the guy, super nice, you know, but it was weird, dude. It was something that I've never felt before, and like in such a bad way that just like everything in my body was just telling me like, hey, this is not cool. Like you gotta get away from this.
You
And
gotta trust your gut, man.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It could have just
So,
been me, but
not to
yeah.
keep going on this dude, but it's just interesting. So you were gonna take a swim right after he like so you were taking a swim, right? Or you're gonna
Yeah, we were gonna go hit some big water. So we were gonna hop in the raft and I was gonna raft with him, and we were just gonna go. I mean, there's like this section of the river that's just got like 5 or 6 rapids that are huge, and it's just like ding 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 one after another. And you gotta be on your game, and it's good to go with somebody who kind of knows what they're doing too. So you guys can feed off each other. But yeah, I was just like, hey dude, I'm not getting in the water. Like you're good to go. And I packed up all my stuff and I left. And
nice.
yeah, it was just I don't
Smart
know.
intuition, man. That
I don't
was
know.
smart. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've come across some people where it's like, whoa, there's some darkness here, or there's something
Yeah,
here
for
that I
sure.
don't like.
For
And I
sure.
did the same thing. I dipped. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
out. You just know to leave. There was one
Yeah.
time in Newport Beach. Okay, check this out. So there's one time in Newport Beach. I was walking home from the bar. I was pretty tipsy, and it's like 3 a.m. and I have probably, I don't know, probably half mile to go, and then so I start jogging. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this guy comes up next to me out of nowhere, and young, he's my age, uh, and he starts talking to me, and he's like, "What's up, man? Where you going?" And I was like, I'm going home." And then he's like, "Where's home at, bro? Where's home at?" And like just really was on me,
Yeah.
and getting closer and closer in the jog. And finally, I just socked him in the face and just sprinted as fast as I could, because I was like, "This guy is creepy. It's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm jogging home. Like I'm trying to get home. I'm pretty buzzed, and like I was picking up speed. I think I was walking, and then he came up to me, and then I was like, "Yeah, dude, just heading back home." And then I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna hit a jog right now, so this dude just leaves me alone." And
Yeah.
then like I had a decent pace going, and that's when I was like, I'm punching this guy in the face. And I did, and he fell, and then I just kept sprinting. And anyways,
That's
but
great.
I don't know, you know what I mean? Just that weird dark, like what's
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
person
for sure.
about right now?
I
Um,
think it's in not everybody, but darkness is there, man.
yeah,
It's
it
it's a
floats
real
around you,
deal.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of dark, yeah. Anyways, I won't go on that, but so you did whitewater rafting, right? Technically, that's what it's called. Where did you do that at? Where was that?
So it was in Riggins, Idaho, which
Okay.
is it's on the Salmon River. It's in the Hells Canyon. It's like this little town of like, I don't know, 300 people. And in the spring they salmon fish, and then in the summer it's whitewater rafting, and then like in the winter they're still fishing. But that's how the town makes all their money, because a lot of like out of towners come for those recreation deals, and so
It's
it's just
touristy.
yeah, yeah. But it's a cool place, man. It's super beautiful. Um, I mean, some of the most beautiful country you'll ever see. And yeah, I mean, I love it out there. We still go out, and I mean, I just was out there not too long ago. So yeah, it's a pretty cool place to be.
I remember when I lived in Boise, everybody said Coeur d'Alene was where the Garden of Eden was. So
Uh, dude,
it's
I just moved from Coeur d'Alene.
how was Coeur d'Alene? Are you stoked you moved, or are you stoked you did, or not stoked you moved?
Oh, so let's see. My wife and I lived there for 2 years. It's it's beautiful. I mean, the lake itself, it's like really tough to beat. Um, the winters are long because you're super far north. I mean, we're only like an hour from the Canadian border, and so um, your winters are like 6 months, and it's just like not necessarily a bunch of snow, but it's just always dark. And if you're a sun person, Coeur d'Alene is not where you want to go. The summers are beautiful because it's only like 80 degrees max, and so it's like that's nice. But my wife loves the sun, and like, I mean, we bought her like the special light bulbs and a sauna and all this stuff to try and like help her through the winters, because she just had terrible depression. And um that, I mean, none of those really helped. And so uh yeah, it just kind of worked out with, I mean, COVID was just kind of starting, and my in-laws just needed some help down here in the Boise area, and they asked us if we could come help them, and it just kind of worked out perfectly, because then we could leave Coeur d'Alene and be closer to family and kind of get back to, I don't know, I think like where we were supposed to be. I don't think we were supposed to stay in Coeur d'Alene for any longer, but it was I mean, Coeur d'Alene's cool. The summer sucks, to be honest, because
Why?
like, dude, because it's like all the freaking tourists get there, and like nothing against rich people by any means, but some of those people were very entitled and
Uh,
just kind of like they'd show up for the summer and think that they were just because they're on vacation they can do whatever they want, you know. And it's like we used to have a boat and we'd take it out to go on the lake, and you get on the boat dock and somebody would be coming down with like a $80,000 truck with a $400,000 boat, and they'll like, oh dude, like I got here first, whatever, let me get in, all this crap. Or they'd sit at the dock in their boat like not doing anything, and I'm like, hey guy, there's other people here trying to get their boats in and out of the water. And he'd be like, oh, like, yeah, I don't know, just the really
I'm
entitledness.
from
It
Orange
just,
County, bro.
yeah, there's just
Yeah,
kind of like,
I had my truck driven up. I flew in last night and my truck.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
there's a lot of really cool people for sure, but
It's the same as Orange County. Orange County,
yeah,
like, there's a lot of cool people, especially they're all mostly transplants, the homies that I met in Newport and whatnot. But then you go to these places and you deal with that all the time. To be honest, I feel pity for them. Like, I feel like the simpler life is full of richness and beauty and uh humbleness is a good thing. Like it lets you enjoy the I don't know other things. I got a couple homies. I got a funny story to tell you. I remember I was at work and I was talking to some guys about Dan Bilzerian. Everybody was talking about him. You know Dan Bilzerian, right?
yeah,
And I was like, yeah, man. We were all sitting down at lunch. I was like, yeah, but Dan Bilzerian. I said something along the lines of like, there's no, there's no like, I don't know what the word I'm trying to use. I use the word, but basically there's no value in what he's doing. And I had this guy Steve who's been married like 30 years look up and he was just like, Andrew, shut the fuck up. He's like, he was like, whatever, dude. He's like, that guy's living the best life ever. But he kind of is, but I'm sure he's lonely too, but who knows. But so
yeah,
I wanted to, you've done a lot of stuff. Like you've done whitewater rafting, which is super cool. And then you came and visited me in 2015. We partied for Halloween in Newport. It was a great time, or maybe that was 16. And then you went back where, like, clearly you said earlier that Michael called you one time when you were in Alaska
yeah,
fishing.
yeah,
So you tell me your adventures. You went from whitewater rafting to then Alaska fishing.
yeah. So I was I was a guide, and I lived in my Jeep, and I was like living on the beach, and I got a call from one of my buddies, and he was like, "Hey, dude, my dad is a fishing captain in Alaska, and a guy in his group needs a deckhand." And he's like, "It's pretty tough work, um, but if you can do it, you need to leave in a week." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "You get a percentage of the catch, so however much you catch is how much you make." And I was like, "Okay, like this is sounding good." And I was like, kind of done with the guiding stuff. I felt like I had just kind of run my course with that, and so I was like ready for something else. So I freaking didn't know what to pack because he didn't tell me anything about this job. So I literally just had a backpack and I got a ticket to Alaska and got to Anchorage, and then hopped on a little bush plane and they took me to Bristol Bay, this little town called Naknek. It's like a village. And yeah, just kind of started, I don't know, I had to get a bunch of gear, which was dumb because I should have bought gear in the lower 48 because everything in Alaska is like literally like 500% more expensive. Like I had to buy a sleeping bag, and it was like the most garbage sleeping bag ever, and it was like $400. And like a can of chew, just one can is $14. And like, yeah, I mean, everything there's
I'd go
crazy.
broke.
Oh, dude, yeah. So you would buy like logs and we'd have them shipped up. So
There you go.
yeah, that way you've always got it. But yeah, I fished for sockeye salmon. Just it's in the summer. It's for 6 weeks. Um, but I did that for four years, um, which was cool. But that's a tough job, man. That's
Well, so
Yeah.
when you went fishing for salmon, clearly it wasn't in the ocean. It was more in the rivers, or
No, yeah. So um, we're in Bristol Bay, which is it's a um, the Bering Sea feeds Bristol Bay. Bristol Bay feeds the river systems. So we were like kind of in that in between. But it still got pretty. I mean, if like the Bering, if there was a storm in the Bering Sea, like we definitely got some of it. And I mean, there are definitely some days out there where it was like, whoa, this is crazy, because they have limits on the size of boat you can have when you're fishing for the salmon. So you can only have a 33-foot long boat, and like you get like 20-foot swells, and you're in a 30-foot boat. I mean, you're rocking and rolling, and it's not fun. So yeah, there's some crazy stuff. But yeah, we would just basically fish that bay. All the fish would be coming in from the Bering Sea, trying to get to the river system, and we just catch them in between. So it was cool. I mean, I made a lot of money, spent a lot of money. I was not very responsible, but it is what it is.
did they have like some bars and stuff you could go
So
to
we lived on the boat. So we were
okay.
on the boat that entire time. And
And how the hell did you spend money?
oh, dude, because you get off the boat and you get like a $30,000 check right off the boat.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I was like 24,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, this is dope. So
Yeah,
I
you can
would,
that's
yeah,
what's up though.
spend it.
Yeah, that's what's up. Um, you made 30,000 fishing
Oh yeah,
for how
yeah.
long? For like how long did it take to accumulate 30 grand?
So the season is about 6 weeks. Um, but you really catch most of your fish like last 3 or so weeks. Um,
So walk me through how you caught the fish. Sorry, but like walk
yeah,
me through. Did you guys have like? Did you net them?
yeah. So we had a real long gill net. So basically, it's got like you've got like your mesh squares that are about this big, just enough for the fish to get his head through. Catches in the gills, and they'll just hang there in the net. Net's probably, I don't know, 8 or so feet tall, and then it's about 2,000 feet long.
Wow.
And so it's like we've got this big hydraulic drum on the boat, and you just send that sucker out. And I mean, on some of those sets, like a set is what you call when you put your net out. I mean, we'd catch like 15,000 pounds in a set. And then it like comes back on the drum, and you're just sitting there trying to pick fish out as fast as you can, because it's like time is money. I mean, you got to be quick, because the faster you can pick them and put them in the boat and put your net out, the more money you're making. I mean, it's like 20 bucks a fish. So it's, yeah, I
Damn.
mean, if like a good season, we'd catch like 275,000 pounds. And it's the boat I was working on. There was just three of us. It was a captain, and then me and another deckhand. So me and that other guy, I mean, yeah, you were getting after it. And
Yeah.
yeah, but it's, I mean, like,
How long would those days last? Like how long from sun up to like tell me like is that like a
well,
16-hour day?
so in Alaska in the summertime, there's only like 2 hours of darkness. And when I mean darkness, it's like it's not even that dark.
It's like
I
the
mean,
sun setting and you still see the glow of the
yeah,
sky. Yeah.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it's back up. So one year, so basically how it works is there's biologists, and they monitor how many fish make it through all the fishermen and make it up through the fish counter in the river system. And so those biologists need to make sure that a certain amount of those fish can get through in order to sustain um, a healthy salmon population, so we can continue to fish every year. And so what they would do is, like, before that number is met, they put restrictions on how often we can fish. So they'll come over on the radio and they'll say, hey, it's an 8 hour opener from, whatever, 2 to 10. That means at 2 in the morning to 10 is the only time we can fish. So you just fish for that 8 hours, and then you're done until they tell us that we can fish again. So then once they get, whatever, however many millions of fish up into the river system to where they're happy, then they open the season wide open. And when it's wide open, like I remember one year we did 35s, so 30 hours on, 5 hours off, 30 hours on, 5 hours off. We did that for 17 days. And I mean, we just caught a ton of fish, but yeah, I mean, it sucked. There's
Wow.
because you got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to try and take like a baby wash bath all in that 5 hours. And yeah, I
I
mean,
bet you're so tired in that 5 hours, like, but you're also
yeah,
like in insomnia mode where you're like, I've been up and like it'd probably
yeah.
be hard to also knock yourself out. Like maybe not. Maybe you have a beer and you're freaking done. But like that
Yeah,
gives me a
you would,
little bit that gives me a little bit more I won't complain so much whenever I just get 5 hours of sleep the night before because of Luna. But
no, I mean, yeah, the worst was, I would go to sleep, but I would dream that I was still picking fish. So it was like, and then I would wake up and I'd have to pick fish, and then it's like, dude, you can't get away from it, and it was like the freaking worst. And oh, you'd get the crab claws. So like those fish are like, I don't know, 5 to 10 pounds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean they're pretty good sized salmon. And when you're picking them all day, you really have to be strong to get underneath their gills and to get them through that net. And you'd wake up and dude, your forearms would just be swollen, and you'd be like this, and you can't. So you'd have to have your buddy come over, and he, crank him out like that. And dude, it was the worst. But yeah, you just start. You'd wake up at night and you're just like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you just can't do anything about it. And yeah, those days sucked, man.
hey, 6 weeks and you got 30 grand. So it's like
Sometimes, I mean,
sometimes, yeah. Well,
so it
did you
depends on like what the price of the fish is selling for and how many you catch. So like you could catch a lot, but if they're only selling for like 75 cents a pound, then you're only going to come home with like $15,000. Um, I mean, I've heard of stories of some guys only coming home with like 5 grand, which sucks because they're like still working the same amount,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
like not making as much. And then obviously, like the longer you're on a boat, if you have a good captain, he's gonna increase your percentage. So like if you're loyal, those guys that have been doing it for a while, they're making pretty good money. But and that's kind of where I had an offer to buy in on the boat that I was working on, um, which would basically mean that I was just going to be a lifer. I was just going to be a fisherman forever. And um, I was dating my wife at the time, and it was like the first time where I actually had somebody at home. And so like being gone for so long and like living that like, nomad lifestyle was really just like not cutting it. And so I just decided that like, yeah, I think I'm done. I think I've like I did this. It was a cool thing to do, but like I don't want to be a fisherman. And those are tough guys, dude. And that lifestyle is just not really the lifestyle that I wanted. Like a lot of anger, a lot of like
A lot of
I remember.
alcoholism, I bet.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing to do up there, so you just, yeah,
Polish them off.
anything that will help you stay awake, you're doing it. And then um, and I remember I'd like come home and I would snap. Like I'd be quick to anger. I would, yell a lot just because it's like you live on this boat. So think of like the size of your bathroom, and that's everything. That's where we sleep. That's where we take a dump. That's where we eat. And you're just here always. And there's just a lot of tension. And so that that got old. And my captain was he loved to yell. Like it was like his favorite thing in the world to yell. And it just got old just getting screamed at all the time. And so I just was like, man, the money was good, but it wasn't worth like my happiness. And so I just said, screw it. I can make money doing other things. I don't need to be unhappy. So, which was good. I mean,
Well, you
I
had
learned a
that
lot.
talk. You had that talk with your brother too, Michael, and he was probably like, "Yo,
Yeah.
get back here." So, all right. So then you moved back to Idaho, right?
Yep.
When was the last time you went fishing? Like, what year was that?
So it's 2022, so that would be 2019. So
Dang,
it's been a little while.
you went off the grid like you did. Like I remember I would follow you on Instagram and whatnot, and I would see you take like post pictures of bears that you killed. You know what I'm saying? And I was
Yeah.
like, dang man, this guy's wild. And
Yep.
then and then uh and then nothing. For like a year or two, I was like, I hope he didn't get eaten by a bear. But
Yeah. I I got rid of my Instagram. I got rid of my Facebook. Um, yeah, I just kind of got away from all that because, to be completely honest, no offense to anybody who has that stuff, I think it's garbage, and I think that it's when used correctly or when used for like a purpose like business or something like that, I think it's great. But I think a lot of people just live through their Instagrams, and I don't think it's real. I think a lot of it is just, yeah,
it's
it's
a
just
good
not
way
my thing.
it's a good
So
way to put it. I feel like I was doing music back in 2018 to like 2019. I really hit it hard, and I fired up a new Instagram, and I thought I was the next big thing. I did. I was like, dude, man, I wrote this song, Honey. I wrote this song,
I remember that.
Te Amo, Home. And I was working with a guy named Charm Britton, King of the OC, baby. But he he had like 100,000 followers on Instagram, and he was just telling me like, I linked up with him and another guy, and I sang a hook, and I got into the Instagram thing. I was like, I got like 4,000 followers. I was like, dude, I'm doing my thing. Like it's going good and all this stuff. But then I realized how fake it was real quick. Like I was doing things for my Instagram, like for the likes,
Yeah.
for the like, even not really writing my songs. Writing my songs, I've always written them just because it's just what I wanted to get out. But I did notice that I was like, oh, wait till this song hits Instagram. All these girls, all these dudes are gonna be like, dude, Drew, you're the shit.
Yeah.
And it never really came. And honestly, like after having a kid and getting married and all that, like my purpose has switched completely.
Yeah.
Um, it's more in the lines of like, it's the reason I created this podcast too, to reach out to people who I love and who I admire, and have these conversations, because the one good thing I could do with this social media stuff is this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I've also figured out that through COVID, they use social media as a scare tactic. Like
Oh
they,
man.
they plant their bugs in this shit, and man, it goes right into the brains of everybody, and they're just like Bill Burr says it best, or oh, what's his name? Hold on. Jim Brewer says it best, okay? I don't know
Okay.
if you know who that is,
I don't, but
but he's like he has this bit on people who watch CNN. He's like, "Rah, CNN, CNN," like he's like Putin bad, Putin bad, and like he says they're all cockatoos. Like they sit in front of
right.
the TV and they watch it, and then they go back to their social medias and just splurge it out there to the world. And he's hilarious. If you guys want a good podcast to listen to, it's called The Bruniverse. Uh, it's amazing, man. And like he talked with the guy today who I forget his name, but he's now off the grid. He milks cows. He has his own thing going, and that's my dream. Like I'm going to have that. Like I'm going to take my family to the country and I'm gonna have a garden, and hopefully it's not too late by then. But like
Dude, I
you
have a
know
huge garden. You can come. I'll have to send you a bunch of stuff.
I can't leave for a while. I can't leave. There's some things I can't really discuss, but I can't leave California for probably 7 years.
Okay.
So it is what it is. I'm going to capitalize on anything I can while I live out here. Uh, but but yeah, my dream, dude, I'm gonna have chicken coops. I'm gonna have a garden. I'm gonna have the biggest yellow lab. I can't
There you
wait. I can't wait. And it's gonna happen. And
go.
but yeah, you're living like people like you, Matthew, even some of my friends in Kansas. Like I keep telling them like you're living the dream. You know, there's something funny about Hollywood. Hollywood always like anytime they depict the Midwest or the South, what's the character like, Morgan? I bet you can guess.
Like a bunch of Idaho people, man.
Bunch of
It's
rednecks, just a bunch of rednecks out here, stupider
yeah.
than hell. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I married my cousin. You know what I mean? Like just they depict them as idiots, and I think that's on purpose. I think there's something to a small town. There's something to um, small governance between each other. Uh, you know, if shit hits the fan, which we could see it happening really fast, 2020. You have each other, you know, and you can trade. You know, John over here has a cow, and then, you know, I have chickens, so I'll give you some eggs. You know, slice a chunk off that cow's ass and let me have it. No, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they've always like demonized the Midwest and rednecks and all that stuff, and I'm like, dude, they're hillbillies are the best people. They're awesome. Full
I
care.
hope they keep doing that though, because then more people will stay away from me.
Idaho's kind of screwed. Like, I'm
Oh,
not trying.
dude,
Like,
it's
there.
there's so many California people coming here. It's not even funny. And like Montana and like Wyoming, there's some new TV show. We don't have TV, so I don't watch TV, but I guess there's some new show
It's called
that has to
Yellowstone.
do with
It's
what is
called
it?
it's called Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's what it is. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, man, all these people come out here and they like so a buddy of mine, he's got some property and this couple moved in and oh, she's gonna be a cowgirl. And so they bought her a horse and they got a saddle and all this stuff and she's never ridden a horse and first time on it she falls off and breaks her leg and they sell the horse and they sell the house and they move back to the city and it's just like dude these people come out here trying to live that like Yellowstone whatever dream and dude it's just annoying. I mean I don't know, I
It
mean like
takes work.
probably
It takes
probably
work.
90% of my clients down here are people moving from California, which is great for me because I have a lot of work, but it's also like I just gotta get further out. I mean, it doesn't matter how far out I get. They just
You know, I know what you mean. Yeah,
come
it's.
in.
I think because my theory with everything I've seen is like I got to take my family to the sticks. We're gonna live in the woods. You know what I mean? Like that's my solution to everything. And
Yeah,
as of lately, it's kind of changed. It's like, you know what? I want that. You know, I want my daughter to have her hands in the dirt. I want her to ride a bicycle to her friend's house and not worry about getting captured. Like in California, there's no way I could let her just ride her bike to somewhere.
yeah,
Um, but like so I've had this theory, you know, I wanted to take my family. I need to get into the sticks, but as of lately, I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna move him back to Kansas at some point. But I feel like right now it's up for me to learn the
yeah.
things that I want to do in Kansas. Like I don't know how to garden. I've never
Dude,
went.
you just
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
and you'll
exactly,
figure it out.
exactly. So I have a little tiny porch. I pay 3 grand a month for this tiny little 2 bedroom in Orange County, California, and I have this small little porch. Well, guess what? Gone to the garden shop, got some
Yeah,
seeds,
good
dumped
for
them in
you.
it, poured some water. I'm gonna eat my own broccoli. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have my own carrots. Like
Yeah,
you can do it in the city too. Like
yeah, for
it's
sure.
it's it's one thing, you know, because I'm kind of locked in for 7 years. So I'm like, I was like so depressed, dude, and I was like, I got to get myself out of this funk. And I listened to Sam Tripoli, which is a really good podcast. It's called The Tinfoil Hat. It's great, but he he actually inspired me to do a podcast. I listened to the episode and he kind of said, take control of your life, dude. You
Yeah.
have like he says practice the law of abundance, which is, give abundance to people. Like if they need something, give them it. Like like practice abundance, practice a lot of things like I don't know. And I wasn't doing that and I am
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, that's
Um
good, dude. I mean, I think right now, our world just needs good people. So anything that you can do that's just good is something that needs to be done, regardless of what it is. Like, yeah, giving back or whatever, just doing something for your neighbor or seeing somebody in need somewhere. Like, that's one thing that I hear all the time from all these people from California moving in. They're just like, oh man, like everybody here in Idaho is so nice. Like I'll drive down the street and they're waving and like my shopping cart is full and they'll help me. They'll open doors and they're like, man, in California, like I could have fell on the ground and people would just walk by me. And it's like, man, why is that? Why is that so normal for people? Like what happened to caring and I don't know. And
you know
I think that's really like just where all of our world's like issues are stemming from. It's just we just need to be nice. We just need to love each other more because right now there's a whole lot of hate and not a lot of love.
have you ever seen
So
the movie Trolls?
I have not.
I bet you haven't. I got a year and a half year old. So I watched Trolls and they have this thing called Hug Time.
Yep. I
It
like
beeps
that.
it beeps on their freaking watch and they have to hug. Uh that you made me think of that when you were going off on that tangent. I like it. I like it. Yeah, we need a hug time. But I know what you mean. What I also believe having some conversations on this podcast like with Lane Kendall, he's like, most Americans like I was like, I feel like the patriotism is going away. People are like LGBTQ, ZRAF, whatever the hell they're talking about. And then like all this stuff of like just this arguing and stuff and like hey, it's not cool to be an American and like not being proud of your country. Lane said, "You know what? I don't think a lot of people think that way." And I believe him. I believe him
Yeah.
because everybody I talk to is a patriot is and like I talk to everybody left, right? Like we all love this country, but for some odd reason they're painting it out to be the opposite of that. Like you should hate where it's at and you should want to wreck it and change it, which is not going to happen. It's bullshit and there's too
Yeah.
many amazing people in America that they're going to keep in America. I do believe that. I'm not black pilled. Like I have a lot of hope for where everything's at. I don't know why we went off on this tangent, but I'm but you I don't know.
I
I just
started
want to
it.
see where you're at mentally with America. Like you were telling me people in California are moving to Idaho, and that's kind of what stirred it up for me because
Yeah.
I have a boss who's like about to retire, and he's like, I'm gonna move. I'm like, where are you moving? He's like, Idaho. But like, he's a good guy. He's a good thing for Idaho.
Dude,
But
honestly though, I mean, some of these, I would say most of the people that I've met that moved here are great people. And I understand why they left because it's like I would leave that place too. I would leave the situations that they're in because it's like that's a terrible way to live. And it sucks too because you get a bunch of Idaho people who are like, oh, they'll have these bumper stickers that are like have a picture of Idaho and it says like we're full, get out of here. And it's like, okay, come on, like these guys are leaving something because it's not ideal for them, like yeah, I don't know. But
no, good point. I want to give California one little credit. Okay, I owe the truth. We went to Cancun for my sister's wedding last week. First time I went to Cancun, dude. Cancun is awesome. If you ever
yeah,
want to take your wife on a cool vacation, they have all inclusive resorts for $1,200, and so you get there. The flight's part of that all inclusive. So for you and your wife, 2,400 bucks. You fly to Cancun. Once you're there, all drinks, all food, all exclusive. I've been to Thailand. I've been to South Korea, London. I've been all over the place. No more. There's not a prettier place that I've been than Cancun. I went snorkeling with turtles, just live. Like I guess it doesn't happen too often. I'll show you real quick. But on our flight back home, on our flight to Cancun, so we're in Houston flying to Cancun, and Luna, her ears are hurting, and I was already pretty stressed about taking my 1.5-year-old to, I don't know. And
Yeah.
so she's screaming, and and I feel bad for her, and I also feel bad for the passengers. I'm like, I didn't want this, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
trying everything to help her, and this guy turns around and looks at me like like he gave me this look like, shut your baby up.
Yeah.
I wanted to sock him in the face so bad. Um, but I know he was probably from Georgia or Alabama or something like that, you know, because most of the people who go to Cancun fly out of they're from those states.
Okay.
And so I wanted to kill that guy. And and so now we're done with Cancun, we're flying home. We're on our second flight from Houston to Orange County. And Luna's ears do the same thing. And and dude, everybody around me was like, poor thing, her ears are probably hurting. Like nobody was mean to me, which I
Yeah.
found very interesting flying into California. These
Yeah.
so I can't it was a weird thing for me to witness and like kind of because I talk crap on California all the time, and I just was like I said, I'm trying to practice like being happy and grateful with where I'm at. And anyways, so I
Dude,
got
I
it.
mean,
I gotta give California credit.
I got married in California.
You did? Yeah, dude, when did you get married? Like, that's so you were telling me, let me ask my wife and this. I was like, wait, what? You're married?
Yeah. Oh man, I should know this date. Uh, September 28th.
I,
So almost a year. Not quite, but getting
I
close.
I think I'm September 19th. I better check the calendar. But but that's what's
Yeah.
up, man. Where did you guys get married?
So I don't know if you know, there's a little town called Trinidad. It's up in Northern California, like in Humboldt County.
Yeah, by
Uh,
Chico.
yeah, it's pretty close up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. But our ceremony, so it was just her and I, because we're both on the same page of like, she's a lot like me. She's free spirit, like wanted to have an outdoor wedding. We didn't want to do the whole like family thing and get a bunch of people, and then there was like COVID, and so a lot of people couldn't come and that whole thing. So I was like, screw it, babe, let's just freaking go up to the redwoods. So we went to the redwoods, had our ceremony in the redwoods, and then we stayed in the town of Trinidad, which is like right there on the ocean. We got a cabin for like a week and a half and just hung out on the beach. And I mean, it was
Dang like
September.
rabbits, huh? No, just kidding.
Yeah, dude, it was a good time.
No, but so hold on. Did Matthew or Michael or anybody go to the wedding, or did you guys
No,
kind
no,
of
it was just her and I. And
nice?
then we came home and we had like a little reception, and it was just, for the family. Basically, it was so my mom could be happy and take pictures.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you gotta please Mama Bear.
I know. So
Uh, I got married pretty not as similar. Like it was more like you were married in the beautiful woods. I was married in the concrete jungle. I
dude,
I ended up going to it was during the height of COVID in 2020, and I went to the Honda Center where the Ducks
oh
play,
yeah,
and they had to marry us through a kiosk booth,
no
which was
way.
different. Yeah, we were running late. Like my brother was the witness, and
Yeah,
we were running late, and I told my wife because we had to get a whatever those checks are that you can't write, but somebody else you give them the money and then they write the check and then you hand it off to the person. I forget what they're called, but we didn't have that, and so we had to run to 7-Eleven real quick to do it.
the
And
cashier's check.
cashier's check, yeah. And we had until 5 p.m. and it was 4:58 when we pulled up to the Honda Center. So we're running, because my wife, I told her, I was like, it was a Friday. I was like, babe, we can get married Monday. Like, what? And she was like, no, we're getting married today. So,
There you
so
go.
we did it, and it was cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's cool because that's like your guys' thing now. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, it wasn't what everybody imagines or thinks of, but like, who cares? It's your wedding. You can do it however you want. So
yeah,
that's how I see it.
I'm with you. I was super mad at my sister for choosing Cancun when I first heard like I was like, why couldn't you have chose Kansas or South Dakota? Like this is gonna be hard for me to take my little girl here.
Yeah.
But we did it anyways, and they so there was a best man speech and a bridesmaid, best woman speech, and then they kind of set the mic down and they're like, if anybody else wants to speak, it's right here. And I kind of felt bad because nobody was speaking. And then my dad's like, get up there, Andrew, say something. So I was like, okay. So I walk up there. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. Like right when I pick it up, I'm like, yeah. So I had the cheapest wedding ever. like I went into that because Jennifer's was so elaborate and came
Yeah.
soon. Um, but the fact of the matter is I married the love of my life, and I'm sure you did too. So that's all that really matters. But
Yeah, sure.
so how? All right. So I have one question for you, and then
Yeah.
we could wrap things up. But actually, I got a couple more. So
Yeah, for sure, dude.
um,
I got plenty of time.
so um, I've never gone bear hunting. I've never hunted anything except for like pheasant. Um, what was it like? Where did you go hunting for bears, and what was that like?
Oh, so I had a buddy who was he is a hunting guide, and every year he had bear camp for his guide or for his outfitter, and it was up in northern Idaho in the I can't remember what wilderness area it is, but wilderness areas are basically they're protected areas where you can't like drive your truck or your ATV or anything like that. It's you can only walk. Um, but he was guiding up there, and we used to always go up there to bear camp. And what we used to do is I would just party and just get hammered and hang out um, at the river and just do some fishing. But one year he convinced me, he's like, dude, let's get you a bear. Cause like I've never really been like, I don't know, like a bear was never something that I really had a desire to kill. Um, so anyways, yeah, we he took me out to the spot where he had been, seeing him or whatnot. And I was like, all right, like I'm just gonna peel off this way. And so I climb up in this tree and I was just kind of hanging out in this tree and uh it's getting pretty dark. And this was the first night. And this is when I don't know if I told you this, but like the bear climbed my tree. But anyways,
What?
I was sitting there in this tree and it's getting pretty dark and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna pack it up and shimmy down. And I'm like I uncock. I remember uncock my gun and I have a little rope on it, and so I sling my gun down to the ground, and then I'm like kind of looking off, and I see this really dark object like kind of creeping through the woods, and like I said, like it's getting dark, so I can't really tell. And I was like, oh man, I think that's a bear, and so I'm sitting there, and my freaking gun is on the bottom of the tree, and so I've got like this. I had a revolver at the time, and so I'm sitting there, and this bear walks up to the base of my tree, and he like looks up, and he just kind of starts going like this, and he gets up to about he was probably 3 feet from me, and I remember I was like pointing the gun, and it was probably like this far from his snout, and he was just a little. He wasn't a cub, um, but he wasn't full grown. So I mean, he was just kind of just like an adolescent bear. And I think he was just curious, but he just kind of sat there and stared at me for a little while, and I was just like, "Hey, buddy, I really don't want to shoot you." And he just kind of like snorted a little bit, and I think it scared him. And he like climbed down really fast and then ran off. And I just remember being like, "Oh, my heart was just like I was like, oh man, I thought I was yeah, it was crazy because I mean I'm not a big guy and he wasn't a big bear, but I'm sure he could have had his way with me if he wanted to. Um, so then I told my buddy that and he was like, oh dude, you got to go back. We'll go back there tomorrow. We'll see if we can get him. I was like, all right. And so I go back the next day and I climb up in the same tree and I'm sitting there and there was just this game trail that was kind of like coming down and I had a good that's why I chose that tree so I could watch this game trail because I'd been seeing a bunch of bear scat and tracks on it and yeah, sure enough, that same little bear came walking down that trail and I was like, oh man, he's not that big. You can kind of tell if they're big by how their ears look. If their ears look big, and their head's small. It's a young bear, so you want a bear that's got like real small ears. And not more than 10 minutes behind him was a real big sow, and she came walking in, and yeah, she was kind of in a hurry. So I remember I yelled. I was just like, "Hey!" And she stopped and kind of not like stood up, but kind of like sat like a dog, just right in line with me, and just yeah, I just hammered her. She was only like 45 yards or something in front of me, and yeah, she was 6.5 feet from nose to tail, so it's a pretty big black
Damn.
bear. Um, but yeah, I got her all. We skinned her out, and I tanned her hide, and so her hide's on the back of my couch, which is kind of cool.
That
So
is cool.
yeah, but there's there's been talk of so the grizzlies are starting to come into Idaho quite a bit more and Montana, and there's talk of doing a like a once in a lifetime grizzly tag. So if they do that, then I'll definitely be putting in for grizzly because that would be sweet.
Damn. That's why you're the GOAT, dog.
Oh,
I respect that.
God, I know.
Did you ever
Yeah.
bow hunt or is it always just rifle?
Dude, so I'm actually buying a bow this year.
Are you gonna go after a grizzly with a bow? That's the real question.
I don't know. I mean, I
That's
feel
some
like I
Raven
need to be a
shit.
little bit better of an archer. I mean, I can shoot pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, man. Who knows? Maybe I get like a wild hair, and but it's probably not up to me. It's probably up to my wife, to be completely honest. It's like
Yeah, I
I don't think she
understand
wants
that.
me. I don't know, unless I have somebody with me who's got a gun. Um, but no, to answer your question, I just rifle hunt as of now. But I am buying a bow this year, mostly just because of the state of the country and freaking ammo is expensive. And um, I believe that it's easier if I need to get food quietly. A bow's the way to go. And so if it comes to that, that's why I'm getting a bow. I don't think it will, but
You're
you
gonna be
know,
all like that one girl.
but one girl.
I forget what
Oh,
that movie's called. Oh,
Katniss Everdeen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would love that, man. Like I would love to just go in my backyard and like practice bow
Yeah,
archery, just like Joe Rogan, just like all those fools. Like
yeah,
they turned me on to it. Like they made me realize, dude, I don't know how to hunt. I'm sure, yeah, I don't know how. I'll be humble and
yeah.
say it, and I would love to learn, just for the sense of like,
Dude, you should
yeah,
in like October, November, man, you can come out and elk hunt with me. And
you know
um
what? I will take you up on that. Like I kind of am making a pact with myself to knock some things off of my bucket list. So I'll be in
yeah,
contact with you and let me know when I can come out and we'll do the damn thing. And
yeah,
then
dude,
we'll have a podcast afterwards talking about it.
that'd be sweet. I mean, I've got some cool spots, and I've yeah, where I elk hunt is, I mean, it's freaking God's country, so it doesn't get any better than that. And there's elk, lots of elk, and it's a ton of fun. So
To
yeah.
wrap up our conversation, this is kind of off topic. I think you told me one time, and this was in Newport, you told me that you were at a lake camping and a guy like messed with you or something.
Oh,
Like, can you tell that story real quick and then we'll wrap it up?
yeah. Okay, so it was when I was guiding. It was when I was living in my Jeep, um, when I was a whitewater rafting guide, and I had like my home, and it was pretty far upriver, away from where like the normal touristy people like to camp. It was like a kind of like a hidden beach. You really had to like know where it is to get to it, and that's why I liked it because I could like leave my stuff there, and it wasn't. I didn't think anybody would mess with it, and I was I had my tent set up and all my gear, and I had a couple guides. Uh, let's see, there was two girls and another guy, and they were camping out there with me for this night. And we go to bed, and it's probably like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hear like somebody pull up to like the hidden kind of trail entrance to get down to this beach. And I've always been kind of like, I don't know, I hear things and I always want to like go investigate. And it's just kind of me. So I unzip the tent and I walk out, and I kind of like creep up my little trail, and there's this like Breaking Bad freaking RV, like just a pile of crap RV, like way out in the middle of nowhere on this river. And it was just really strange because like most people, I mean, that road that I had a Jeep at the time, so it was like definitely not something you want to be driving your RV on. But so like, man, this is strange. And then I was like, all right, well maybe this guy will leave or whatever. And he shuts his thing off, and he gets out of his truck, and I kind of walk over there, and I had my flashlight, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And this dude's just tweaking. He's like, he can't look at me, and he's like going like this, and I was like, dude, what's going on, buddy? And he's like, all right, I'm gonna camp here. And I was like, all right, but you gotta make sure that you move your rig um in the morning because I gotta go to work. And he's like, no, I'm gonna stay here for a few weeks. And I was like, well, you can't, you're not gonna stay here. You can't park there. So, because you got my, like, you see my Jeep here, and you parked me in, and I gotta go to work. So I was like, you're gonna have to move your rig. He was like, oh no, man, like I really think that I'm just gonna stay here. And I was like, listen, guy, like I don't know how many times I need to tell you this, but like you can't park here. Like if you can just move it 10 feet, you can stay here for the night. That's awesome. And he was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'll move it. I'm like, all right. So I walked back into my tent, and um, the gal that was there, the other guide, she was like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know, some guy just parked in behind our trucks, so we can't get out. So I told him to move. And she was like, okay. And then I just got like this weird feeling, and I was like, man, I just don't think something's right. So I walked back out there, and the guy didn't move his truck, and he's taking crap out of his RV. And I was like, hey man, like I thought I told you, like you can't just set up camp here because you've got us, boxed in. And then he got mad. He's like, I can do whatever I want. You know who owns this beach? I own this beach. And I was like, dude, you don't own this beach. And like, I'm trying to be nice, but really now you just have to leave. Like now you can't even stay here tonight. Like you just got to get out of here. And we start arguing back and forth. And then finally he's just, like, whatever. He starts chucking stuff back into his RV. And then I stay out there and I wait until he actually drives away. I was like, okay, sweet, finally. And by this time it's like, I don't know, 5 or something. And so the sun's starting to come up because it comes up early out there. And so I walk back to the camp, and I just kind of had like this weird feeling still. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay awake. I'm just going to sit here and just kind of wait for a little bit. And I'm sitting there, and I called Marcus, and I was talking with Marcus, and I was like, dude, this like tweaker guy just like came up on my camp, and he's just acting weird. And I don't know. I feel like I need to call you so you're on the phone with me in case something happens. And Marcus was like, oh, okay, dude, like for sure. And I'm sitting there, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go grab my pistol. And so I had a big 357 revolver with a 8-inch barrel. I mean, this thing was enormous. It was like way bigger than any gun you should be carrying around. So I go get this revolver, and I'm sitting there, and I'm talking with Marcus on the phone, and all of a sudden I hear like something crunching through the brush. And I was like, oh, hey, dude, be quiet, and I like put him on speakerphone. I'm like, here, you can listen to this. And so I was like, don't say anything because you're on speaker and whatever. And so I hear this thing kind of creeping, and I had my tent like here, and I was like sitting off to the side like 20 yards, and my tent was like right up next to to all this brush. And this freaking guy, same guy, he's like kind of crawling on his hands and knees, and he kind of creeps through, and he goes around to my tent, and he goes to like unzip my tent. And I just lost it, and I was like, hey motherfucker. And I like grabbed my gun, and I was like, dude, you got to get out of here. And he stands up, and he starts walking towards me, and he's like, I can do whatever I want. And I pulled my gun up, and it was like, I'm not even joking, probably 4 or 5 inches from his face. And I was like, I will shoot you, and I will cut you up into pieces, and I'll bury you out here to where nobody will ever find you. And I just went off on him. And I was like, I'm not afraid. And I know people who will do all kinds of things to the rest of your family. Like anything that I could think of. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'll take your RV and I'll drive it into the river so deep where nobody will ever find it. Nobody's gonna miss you. And it's just like, and I was just like pointing my gun at him, and then he just stared at me. He didn't say anything. He just stared at me. And I stopped talking and we just kind of looked at each other for probably, I mean, it felt like forever, but it was probably like 10 seconds. And I'm just holding this and I just like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, if this guy comes at me, like,
Bam.
I'm gonna have to, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if you'd shot, but you'd have definitely whooped his ass.
I don't know, but, um, and then with all me yelling, those other people that were staying out there with me, they like woke up and came out, and then the guy like saw that there was other people and just like scurried off through the woods. And I heard him get back in his truck and he drove off. And I was like, okay, like I'm packing up. We're packing up all the stuff. We're not staying here anymore. Like at least I'm not. And so I pack all my stuff up and I go back into town and I go to my rafting boss and I was like telling him the story. And he was like, oh man, did that RV look like this? And he took a picture and he showed me a picture on his phone. And I was like, oh dude, yeah, that's totally the one. And he's like, oh yeah, that guy just got arrested like 45 minutes ago, because he was inside another guide's shop stealing a bunch of stuff. And I was like, no way. And then I guess because like in that small town of Riggins, like everybody knows everybody. So um, I honestly don't know what the sheriff's name was, but everybody called him Johnny Law. So Johnny Law, though, arrested him and found like 50 pounds of meth or something inside of his RV, and he just like had a bunch of stuff that he'd been stealing from people and all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, I thought I was gonna kill this freaking guy. And I told my boss like all the stuff I said, and he just thought it was hilarious. he's like, oh, dude, you should call me, man. We could have put him in one of those body bags that we like
Oh
rescue
my
people
god.
in, and just sunk him in the river. And I was like,
I mean,
oh,
the crazy thing is like I bet you stuff like that's been done in Idaho like crazy. You know what
oh,
I mean?
dude, I've met some pretty weird people out there in that Riggins area where they've got like old mining tunnels that are like super deep on their land, and they're like, oh yeah, man,
That's
those
like
tunnels
that.
are pretty
That's like
deep.
that's like Yellowstone. Like that's why people love Yellowstone. I know you don't watch TV, but their way of killing somebody is they say we're gonna take you to the train station, and like
Uh,
yeah, it's the same kind of concept.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's that yeah, that's
yeah,
the
dude,
backwoods crazy stuff that goes on. I've never
yeah.
really heard of it.
It was yeah. I mean, you don't know. It's kind of lawless out there, but it's kind
You
of
got to hold your own, that's for sure. You can't be some like pushover, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That guy probably would have brought a knife in and took your guys' like sleeping bag or something. I don't know.
And he was pretty small, so I feel like, I
You
mean,
would
I'm
have,
not I'm
yeah.
not a big guy by any means, but he was pretty jazzed up on whatever he was jazzed up on, and I feel like he probably would have just gave me the beans. So I'm glad that I.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I would. I mean,
Yeah.
he was.
Drugs, you can't really mess with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I'm not
feel
really a fighter either, so that's why I ran track. I just run.
yeah, yeah. I forgot you can run forever. You're like Forrest Gump. You look like Forrest Gump right now too, dude. You
Dude,
look like you just got done running
I
all across
I
the
trimmed
country.
a bunch of it off too. It used to be a lot bigger. So
That's
yeah,
what's
my freaking bangs right now are crazy long. I need
holy
to
crap.
I
That's
need
what's up.
to
I
dude,
like
the haircuts are $50, man. I ain't paying that much.
I
It's
love it.
crazy.
Yeah, no, but like I said, you're the goat, so I'm glad you're in the goat attire right
Well,
now.
thanks, man. Dude, thanks for everything. Thanks for thinking about me, and I wanna I wanna have you out. I wanna take you hunting sometime, or even do just camping or scouting or something, and just
Dude,
get you
just
out. Cause
coming to see you and Matthew and Michael would be awesome.
dude, yeah,
And then on top of that, if I went hunting, that would be even better. I miss you guys. You guys are family to me. But
yeah.
uh we'll wrap it up, Morgan. Yeah, you've been a solid guest. You have.
Thanks.
I knew you would be. I knew you had some badass stories, and I'm glad you told it. You remind me of that guy Into the Wild. That
Oh,
movie. You
yeah.
really do. Like I like just how your free spirit just was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this and I don't care. And I remember you being in Newport and you're like, yeah, I'm actually gonna be in the woods for the next 6 months. And I was like, what? Like that.
Dude, yeah, it
That's
was
cool.
right after that. I did a 17-day solo elk hunt um, up in the wilderness right after I met with you. So yeah, that was a crazy time too. That was when I shot a wolf. Yeah.
Goat.
What?
I said goat. That's why you're the goat, man. You're out there
Yeah.
slaying wolves and bears. I'm over
Yeah.
here buying a cheeseburger and In-N-Out. Um, I'll wrap it up, man. Clearly you don't have any social media. I would tag you in it, and for anybody following me who finds you interesting, like I'm sure they would want to,
I still have
yeah,
a
follow you.
Facebook.
It's all good, dude. Don't even trip, man. Don't even trip. You stay off the grid, all right? You're meant to be off the grid.
Oh, I appreciate
Um,
it. Thank you.
but yeah, anybody listening, like I said, if you would just subscribe, share the podcast. I'm gonna have some cool guests on next too. Um, Here in the next 2 weeks, I'll have two guys that are some solid dudes. But anyways, like, subscribe, give me a 5-star rating, please, and yeah, have an awesome day. Oh, Morgan, I wanted to start something. I wanted to start
Yeah.
something new, and I'm kind of putting you on blast because
Okay.
nobody else has heard this. But um, what is your most memorable quote that you've ever heard? That you know how sometimes things you get
Yeah.
told something and it sticks with you.
So when I was fishing in Alaska, my dad, he sent me like it was just a letter, and you know, just told me it was just a cool letter. But at the very end, he just said, um, always do your best. And I know that's like a really kind of like a weird thing, but that has always stuck with me. And when you were talking about like how I do my fences and that kind of stuff, like you would be surprised how good you can do things if you just always try and do your best. And so like anything that I do, like it doesn't matter if it's, being a husband, being like with work or hunting or whatever, like I don't take shortcuts. I just always do my best. And I don't know, I think it's just a good thing to live by. Because I think a lot of people can do better. And if you just catch yourself not doing your best, like just always do your best. And so that's just something that has always really stuck with me. And it's weird, but yeah, I mean, I just always tell myself like, dude, Morgan, is that your best? And if it's not, then do it again, or next time just be better. And so that's just kind of like what I live by.
On that note, my friends, always do your best.
Yeah, there
Peace,
you go.
everybody.